The two crises, the climate crisis and the pandemic crisis, one can look at some commonalities, but they're also very different. Both are currently very serious and are in crisis mode. But climate change has been happening for a long time. It has been building up over the years and the decades into the crisis situation that we're facing today, while the pandemic has broken out suddenly, very quickly, and became a crisis over literally a period of a few months. And the crisis part of it will probably disappear in a few months, although the subsequent impacts that will have to be resolved will stay with us for a long time. So in a sense, the COVID pandemic is compressing the kind of thing that we can expect with climate change over a longer period of time. But they are both crises and they both need to be addressed currently, and either one can help the other by learning how society deals with risk and how we anticipate these risks into the future. The pandemic crisis is in fact about different risks and how we manage those different risks. It's about health risks, it's about economic, financial risks, it's also about human well-being, psychological issues when people are closed up for a long time. So it's a combination of those risks that society has to manage. It's not easy to do that, and if governments and if societies can learn from the pandemic crisis to better manage these risks, it is very likely that we will be able to better manage other risks, such as climate change, which is also a combination of different kinds of risks that we have to manage. The whole idea of anticipating future risks, such as pandemics or the impacts of climate change, which are not so future anymore, but also beginning to be increasingly current, is to anticipate what those potential impacts are, what those potential risks are, and build up governance frameworks and actions in order to address those risks. And that some people refer to that as anticipatory governance. And this is what C2G is all about. And that's what we've been doing, is to trying to address the risks of employing or not employing some of the climate altering technologies that we're addressing currently or in the future. What I think would be interesting to see is to what extent the pandemic is helping us to address and anticipate future crises and future impacts, and therefore understand better that the carbon that is accumulating in the atmosphere is increasingly going to cause us problems currently and more so in the future, and therefore maybe make it more acceptable for society to spend time, resources on removing the carbon and thereby cleaning up the atmosphere from the excess carbon that we already have in there. So it may help. Let's see. But maybe that's something we can also try to accelerate and try to learn proactively from what's happening today. I think for solar radiation modification, the most challenging issue is that we're dealing with an approach, a technology that we don't know, and there are risks, there are benefits, and there are unknown risks, and we need to find ways to manage these and manage the risks, the known risks, the unknown risks, the potential benefits, the costs, all of that. And so it's about risk management by society, and not just by society, but by societies, the whole entire world. So if we can find lessons from how we deal with the risk management of the pandemic, I think it will be easier to also address solar radiation modification and find ways to manage those, to understand the different risks, and therefore come to decisions whether or not we wish to make use of those technologies. And if yes, how, under what conditions, and if no, how to deal with the implications.